Hi guys, and welcome to On and Off the Court. I'm your host, Emmanuel Ganola, and for this episode, we will be talking about a very important topic, the history of the WNBA. Now, for any of you who may have been living under a rock, the WNBA is the fastest growing female, if not the fastest growing league, period, in sports right now. So I thought it would be nice to talk about the history of it. Where did it all start? Now, let's go all the way back to 1996. In 1996, NBA Commissioner David Stern decided to establish a league for the women. This was during the time of the 1996 Olympics when USA decided to not only take the men, but to also take women to compete in the Olympics. This was the starting point because America popped off basically. They went on a 16-0 run in most of their games, meaning that they weren't only impeccable on offense, but their defense was tea. Their defense was locked down and stopped the other teams from even scoring. This showed America that women can ball. Now, the first game wasn't until 1997, in July 21st, when the New York Liberty faced off with the LA Sparks and won 67-57. This team was led by Lisa Leslie and Theresa Weatherspoon, also known as Teaspoon. Now, in 1999, Teaspoon shocked everyone with a half-court heave in the last second of the game. And this was also the time of the Houston Comets. They built their own dynasty. Now, for any of you who don't know, a dynasty is when a franchise stays undefeated for usually more than 3 years. That was Houston Comets. Now, they were led by the Big Three: Cynthia Cooper, Tina Thompson, and Cheryl Swoops. That's a lot of alliteration. These three would go to make history in the WNBA, be Hall of Famers even. As I was saying about them being a dynasty, from 1997 to the beginning of the 2000s, they went on an unprecedented run. They'd win each cup every year. Now, this is where stuff started to get interesting. If Teaspoon's half-court heave didn't shock everyone, Lisa Leslie made the crowds go wild. She dunked in the middle of a game. No woman had done that before in a game, at least not in the WNBA. And before any of you start hating, saying, oh, the rims are probably... No. The rims are the exact same height. On a 10-foot rim, she dunked. And she showed that women can do pretty much what men can do. However, we haven't seen much dunking since, but hopefully in the future of the WNBA we see some. I can't dunk. Now, the early 2000s introduced a different style of play, where things got more physical, more aggressive, and the Detroit Shock took everyone by shock. In 2003, Detroit Shock got their first title over LA Sparks. This team was led by Ruth Riley, who was the final MVP at the time, Swin Cash, and Diana Ford. Not only did the 2000s introduce physical play, but also introduced international prospects, meaning the WNBA wasn't only going to be watched in America, but also be watched in other countries. For example, Tisha Penicheiro from Portugal and Laura Jackson from Australia joined the WNBA in this time. Alongside this, people from countries such as Nigeria and all over Europe joined the league, making the WNBA a bit more global. Now, 2008. We all love Candace Parker. I mean, who couldn't? Well, in 2008, she became the first player to win both the Rookie of the Year and an MVP award in one season. But my favorite entered the powerhouse era. This was the 2010s when Minnesota Lynx was taking storm, literally. In 2011, 13, 15, and 17, they won consecutive chips, being led by Maya Moore, Sylvia Falls, Simone Augustus, and Lindsay Wallen. While this was all happening, other players were getting their own lick. In 2017, June 18th, Diana Taurasi beat Tina Turner on all-time scorers ever in history. Sue Bird became the leader in all-time assists, which she still holds to this day, although she should look out for Jackie Young. Brittany Griner became the Defensive Player of the Year in both 2014 and 2015, showing everyone she was not to be messed with. And of course, we can't forget about Eleanor Delle Donne, who was the first to get a 50-40-90, meaning 50% from the field, this is layups, jump shots, 40% from the three-point line, and 90% from the free throw line. This also led Washington to winning their first chip. Now, 2010. This was the era of dynasties. Key players in this moment were Sabrina Ionescu of the New York Liberty, Asia Wilson of the Las Vegas Aces, and Caitlin Clark of Indiana Fever. However, things took a turn in 2020. Now, obviously, we all know about COVID-19. During this time, the WNBA went into what they called the wobble, a mix of WNBA and a bubble. This was supported by 114 of the players who stood together and showed their support during this time. It was also a time of social justice, especially around George Floyd and all the racial events that were going on in 2020. The WNBA left very important messages in this time to show their support for social activism and global epidemics. Okay, 2021. Now, this was the 25th anniversary for the WNBA. In 2021, Chicago Sky, led by Kalia Copper, won their first chip. In 2022 and 2023, Las Vegas Aces won back-to-back championships, led by now 4-time MVP, but 3-time MVP at the time, Asia Wilson. Now, 2024. A period I and other people like to call the mousetrap. This is when all the beef between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese blew up. I wasn't too invested at the time. I was minding my own business, but it was a lot. And whether it was good, whether it was bad, whether it said something bad or good about the players, it brought a lot of traction to the WNBA. All of a sudden, journalists, commentators, random strangers decided that they wanted to watch the WNBA. And it put a bad image on Angel Reese. It painted Angel Reese as a villain and Caitlin Clark as a hero. Subjective to what you think. I believe both players are great. I think that something the media does very well is pit two players against each other as if they're not professionals. Whether it's about dating or whether it's about their team chemistry. These women are professional. They know how to handle stuff on the court. Whatever happens off the court, that's their business. But we need to remember that they are professionals. But anyway, I digress. Oh yeah, this was also the year that the New York Liberty won their first championship in the last 28 years. Now, 2026. This has been quite the year for the WNBA. I mean, we've had record-breaking viewership. People are wearing Everyone Watches Women's sports shirts. There's been 2 more teams in the expansion draft, Portland Fire and Toronto Tempo. And, most importantly, the WNBA women signed a collective bargaining agreement, meaning the salary cap was lifted from 5 times what it was in 2025, making some of the best players get up to $7 million. Now, while this is nowhere near where the men get, it's progress, and it means the WNBA is making an impact. Now, my favorite thing about this whole history is that not only does it show young girls, but it shows anyone that if you can't see her, be her. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope you learned something from today. And if you did, drop a comment. I would love to hear what you guys think. And yeah, just stay tuned, because I will be posting more about different opinions, but I thought it was really important for us to talk about the history and see how far the WNBA has come. Thank you again. I hope you stay and we can build a community. Okay, that's On and Off the Court with Iman Ogunola. Bye, everyone.